They say the path to greatness isn't some smooth, easy road. No, it's a treacherous cliff face. It's a place where you have to look your own fear right in the eye just to get a glimpse of the summit. Imagine you're there. You look up at a bridge and you see him. Just a silhouette, hanging there, motionless, suspended between the sky and the water rushing below. And a question starts to ripple through the crowd. What on earth is he doing? But here's the thing. He doesn't move. Not for an hour, not for a day. He just hangs. And that curiosity from the crowd, well, it starts to curdle into something darker. The whispers start. No sane person would do this. Is he protesting something? Is he trying to die? That was it. That had to be the only answer that made any sense. The man was broken. A tragic story, dangling by a thread for the whole world to see. A public display of madness. Or at least, that's what everyone thought. The man's name was Iman, and what the world was watching, what they all thought was an act of insanity, that wasn't the end of his story. No way. It was the forging of its most legendary chapter. So, to really understand why he was hanging from that bridge, we have to rewind the tape. We've got to go back to a time when Iman's feet were planted firmly on the ground, but his head was way up in the clouds, dreaming of just one thing, becoming a professional climber. The mountains were his whole life, his passion. But on one expedition, that passion, that dream, it all came crashing down. Literally. A terrible fall shattered his body, and then the doctors delivered the final verdict, a death sentence for his spirit. You might not even walk properly again. Climbing? That's completely out of the question. So what do you do then, when you're at absolute rock bottom? Iman had two choices: give up and accept his broken fate, or become fate itself. He chose to forge something new. And believe it or not, that incredible path led him right back to that bridge. Okay, so this is where it all clicks into place. On one side, you have what the world saw, a broken man, a sad public spectacle. But on the other side, that's the truth. This wasn't a man giving up, this was a warrior gearing up. This wasn't madness, it was the training camp for an impossible comeback. See, none of this was random. It was a brutal, calculated 3-step regimen. Step 1, forge a grip of pure steel. He hung for hours on end, turning his hands and nerves into iron. Step 2 was all about the mind, master focus. He'd read, he'd even eat, all while suspended, training his brain to perform under unbelievable stress. And finally, step 3, transcend pain. He learned to push his focus so deep that the physical agony just faded into the background. For 3 years, the world pointed and whispered and judged. And for 3 years, Iman worked, in silence, hanging from that bridge, forging himself into something more. And all that silent work, it was about to make the loudest noise you could possibly imagine. 3 whole years. And then the stage was set. A sheer, vertical rock face they called the killer wall. It was so unforgiving, there were practically no holds. The best climbers in the world, they took one look and walked away. It was impossible. A suicide mission. And then Iman arrived. As he started to climb, the world went silent. The man they said might never walk right again was flowing up this impossible wall. Not with his legs, but with the inhuman strength he'd forged in his hands. He was climbing with just his fingertips, proving his own belief. It's not the body, but the spirit that takes a person to great heights. Look, conquering that wall was absolutely incredible, a monumental achievement. But that wasn't the real summit. The true lesson from his story, the real peak he climbed, was something much, much higher. His journey teaches us 3 powerful truths. First, obstacles are mostly in your head. If your mind truly believes something is possible, your body doesn't have a choice but to follow. Second, the most important work you'll ever do is the work you do in silence, while everyone else is doubting you. And third, real strength, it's not about your muscles, it's about mental endurance. His training was never just about his body, it was about forging his mind into an unbreakable weapon. Iman conquered a literal wall of rock that everybody said was impossible. But here's the key. He could only do that after he first conquered the walls of doubt, despair, and pain inside his own head. And that leaves us with one final crucial question. What walls are standing in your life that exist only in your mind?